I was raised by a single mother. My father passed away soon after I was born due to illness. My mother desperately raised me and my brother with her own hands. We didn't have enough money when I was a child, so my mother worked from early in the morning until late at night. I'm sorry for making you feel lonely all the time. It's okay. I have my elder brother. As a young child, I was often told that I must have missed my mother, but because I had an elder brother, I never felt that way in the slightest. My brother was a little older than me, and he took good care of me when I was very young. I'm sorry. I'm always giving you a hard time. That's okay. I enjoy doing the housework. When my mother was away, my brother cooked simple meals and took the lead in housework. I think he was helping my mother a lot. Jack, teach me how to do it. Oh, do you want to do the house chores too? Be careful not to hurt yourself then. I grew up watching my brother and naturally started to help my mother with the house chores so that I helped my brother and mother. You'll be more efficient and better at it if you do it this way. That's true. You're awesome, Jack. Of course I am. I'm your brother. At first, I couldn't do it well, but with good guidance from my brother, I soon improved. Jack does everything at home, and at school he studies very well and has many friends. He has been my hero since I was little. Why don't you play with me today? My mom gets home late, so I have to make dinner. You're always working so hard. It's a hobby of mine. Wanna come over for dinner? Sure, I'll be there. Jack's classmate often came to our house to play, and the house was always lively. He was like a father to me since he's capable to do almost everything. By the time I graduated from high school, he was working to support our family. You should go to college. I'll pay for your tuition fee. What? I was thinking to start working to support our family too. Oh, don't be silly. It's hard for a man to make a living without a college degree nowadays. I was planning to work as soon as I graduated from high school, since I don't want to be a burden to my mother and brother. However, due to Jack's strong desire, I decided to go to college. Thanks to him, I was able to put a lot of effort into my studies, and I ended up entering a decent university. I tried to get a part-time job, but my brother stopped me. Well, if you think about working in the future, a part-time job is good, but don't push yourself too hard because your priority is your study. I could only work on holidays. Thanks to that, I was able to concentrate on my study and spend a fulfilling student life. As part of my university life, I decided to join a club that a friend invited me to. It was there that I had a fateful encounter. Hey, do you want to go out with me today? Sure, I'd love to. Amelia was 3 years older than me. She approached me and we started going out together often. Later, we started dating each other. You finally got yourself a girlfriend. When I told him about Amelia, my brother had a look on his face that could be seen as either frustration or sadness. It's your birthday today, right? Here's your birthday present. Seriously, I can't take something so expensive as my birthday present. What are you talking about? It's your birthday. Besides, I want to give it to you as your birthday present, so don't be shy. She was very generous, giving me luxury gifts for my birthday and taking me out for a luxurious dinner. I would give her gifts in return, but she would end up paying more than me, and I would feel bad. It's okay. My family is rich. I get a lot of money to spend. She was born into a wealthy family that has been a banker for generations and seems to have grown up in a privileged environment. How amazing! You're totally different from me. It can't be helped since you were raised in a single-parent family. I'll be the same way if I was born in the same environment. She has never disparaged me whenever she heard me talking about my family. I guess that's why I was attracted to her. I got a job offer as a board member in a bank. Wow, isn't that great? Congratulations! She smiled proudly. We continued dating after she entered the workforce. The longer we were together, the more I wanted to support her. I'm going to propose to her when I graduate from college. What? Are you serious? Well, you're a man too. Make up your mind. When I talked to my brother about it, he was surprised, but he encouraged me to give it a go. I successfully graduated from college and got a job at a small company. I gradually got used to my job, so I bought the engagement ring with my first salary. I was well prepared. I made a reservation at an unusually expensive restaurant for a date with Amelia. It's a very nice place. I'm so excited. Glad to hear that. She was very pleased because I had booked a date at a place with a great atmosphere. Convinced that the mood was perfect, I took out the engagement ring I had prepared. Amelia, will you marry me? The proposal was pathetic, to be honest. I couldn't even look at her properly. I looked down as I held the engagement ring out to her. I could feel that the weight of it gradually disappears from my hand. Thank you. I want to be with you forever too. Are you serious? She said yes, and I was so happy. After that, we discussed the future together and confirmed our mutual intentions, or so I thought. I proposed to her and she said yes. Oh, that's great. Congratulations. I'm going to visit her family's house next time. Then I'm going to have to dress up in a suit and tie. I went out with my brother to pick out a suit for the occasion. According to him, dressing up is very important. I took in his opinion and bought a suit that I thought was appropriate. After that, I spent restless days until the day. Do you think I should wear this? There's no way the suit I chose is weird. You're just fine, Brian. Yes, you're right. Okay then, I'm going to her parents' house. Good luck. With my brother cheering me on, I headed to Amelia's parents' house. I bought a cake that her parents like at their nearby town before I arrived there. It was a huge manor house that I had only seen on TV dramas. I rang the doorbell of the condo with trembling hands and was greeted by Amelia. Come in. Sorry to bother you. It's nice to see you. Welcome to our house. Her parents greeted me kindly, and I was a little relieved, since I thought her parents are scary. You met my daughter in the club at college, right? Yes, she was very nice to me. Oh, I heard that my daughter made quite a bold approach on you. Mom, don't embarrass me. I had a great conversation with her parents and was not as nervous as I thought I would be. However, the mood took a turn when we started talking about my family. So, what do your parents do for a living? My father died when I was little, and my mother used to work day and night. The moment I told her that, Amelia's mother was very surprised. Oh dear, you were raised by a single parent? The prickly way she said it made me slightly uneasy. I could sense that she had a bad image of my family. I hurriedly continued my words as if to defend myself. Yes, that's right, but my elder brother is taking the place of my father and worked hard. I felt the air freeze at my words. I turned to Amelia's mother and saw that his smile was gone, and she was looking at me coldly. If you're raised by a single parent, you won't be accepted to this family. I beg your pardon? I didn't understand what was being said for a moment and uttered a dumb voice.
Yes, she's right.
Could you tell me why? Amelia's father seems to agree with his wife's words. Oh, geez, I guess I have to give up hope then. Amelia muttered with a sigh as she looked at her parents. I looked at her in shock. Her expression was very different from the one I had seen when I proposed to her. I couldn't see any trace of the woman I said I wanted to be with forever in front of my eyes. Oh, is there something wrong with being raised by a single parent?
For whatever reason, I don't trust single-parent families. I wouldn't want them to ask for a loan of money from us. Bankers are trustworthy first. It's important to avoid associating with people you don't trust.
The father raised his brow and spoke out. His gaze was fixed on me with contempt. I wonder if he thinks my family approached his family because we were in need of money. If it's just for fun, fine, but for marriage, you should reconsider. Poor families where the mothers work a day and night have a different standard of living, and you'll end up splitting up sooner or later because of differences in values. I was stunned by Amelia's mother's words. I wonder if Amelia decided to start a relationship with me just for fun. I started to distrust her. I'm sorry, if I don't get my parents' approval, I'm not sure whether I want to get married. I know I'm being rude, but can you go home? She didn't argue with her parents and didn't look offended. Why? You knew that I was raised by a single-parent family, didn't you? That shouldn't be the reason to give up on marriage. Amelia and her parents remained silent at my words. It was as if they were done talking. I was astonished at the way she looked at me, as if she no longer needed me after her parents denied me. I was angry that they were making fun of my standard of living just because of their prejudice against me being raised by a single parent. I understand. I'm going home. Sorry for interrupting. Amelia greeted me kindly, but did not even see me off. I left her house as if to run away and never look back. On my way home, I clenched my teeth in frustration. I don't even want to shed a tear, but it looks like my heart betrayed me. Tears flowed to my cheeks. Not wanting to worry my family, I hid my tears as I headed home. Welcome home. How was it? My mother asked me with a twinkle in her eye when she saw that I had returned home, but I didn't know what to say. Well, it was okay. I couldn't tell my mother that my marriage had been broken up because of our family situation, so I answered in a vague manner and hid in my room. My mother looked at me strangely, but there was no sign of pursuit. What happened, Brian? It seems that Jack was sensing something wrong with me, so he followed me to my room and asked me. When he asked me, my desire to talk to someone overcame me, and I told him everything that had happened today. We broke up because I was raised by a single parent. You must be joking. Amelia's father said he wouldn't want me to borrow money from him. Huh? Amelia's mother said it's okay if the relationship is just for fun, but not for marriage. That's terrible. What did Amelia say at the time? She said she can't get married unless her parents approve. No kidding. Jack wasn't pleased when I told him the bitter truth. I felt slightly relieved by that. Whatever her parents think, you made the right decision to end your relationship with her. Yeah. My brother pretends to think a bit. Which bank does her father work for? I told him the name of the bank Amelia had told me about. Oh, yeah? I'll go make a phone call. Jack's voice was low and cold. A few days later, I suddenly received a phone call from Amelia. I answered the phone a little defensively, and to my surprise, I heard her father's voice.
Hey, what did you do?
Why did you call me out of the blue? I thought you don't want to get involved with poor families anymore. Is there a problem?
Don't pretend as if you know nothing at all. What the hell did I do to get fired all of a sudden?
Well, when I told you and your family that day about my family situation, I got a hell lot of discrimination, didn't I? Then my brother and a friend of his said that they couldn't trust a bank where people like that work. I think he may have told him that he moved his money to another bank. From what I've heard, it was roughly $10 billion. Am I right? Well, banks handle people's money on trust, so it can't be helped. Amelia's father was speechless at my words. In fact, my brother had started his own business when he was young and had succeeded. He now runs a reasonably large company. Amelia's father works for the biggest bank in our area. Apparently, my brother had also done a considerable amount of business deal with that bank, including investments. The day Jack heard about my story, he called the bank on the spot and told the branch manager to replace Amelia's father. The manager seemed to be in a panic, but my brother continued the call in a calm tone. We are going to discontinue our business with you if you don't do as what you're told. Our family has been badly hurt by your executive. We will come to your office later to discuss the details. And here we are. I was surprised at how quickly Jack acted, but I never expected Amelia's father to be fired.
I'm sorry. I apologize for my rudeness. Of course, you have my blessings for the marriage. So please.
Amelia's father suddenly changed his attitude and apologized, but his firing could not be undone by that. I could hear him apologizing repeatedly on the other end of the phone, but the voice on the phone changed to Amelia's. I'm sorry. I didn't give up on marrying you just because my parents said those things. We should get back together again, Brian. Amelia apologized to me now, but my feelings for her have completely gone. I understand that she didn't really mean those words she just said. If she really had feelings for me, she would have rebuffed me with one word at the time her parents mocked my family. I'm sorry, but I don't want to have anything to do with people who make fun of my family ever again. I didn't make fun of your family. It's my mother and father who are at fault. I'll cut ties with my parents if you want me to. You shouldn't do that, Amelia. I'm sure you won't be able to afford the luxuries like you used to, but you and your family deserve it. I gave so much expensive things to you. You're such a jerk. Give those back to me. You gave those to me, didn't you? And I threw all of them away right after we broke up. Amelia was yelling in my ear. Just before I literally hung up the phone, I heard her father's voice.
It's your fault.
I don't know who is to blame. I hung up and blocked her number. I never heard from her again ever since. I visited the bank where she worked once, but she was not there. Various rumors were flying around, and she might have been damaged by those rumors. A few months later, when I passed by her house after a long time, I saw that the manor house had been put up for sale. I wondered how much they had spent to live there. I have no way of knowing, nor am I interested in knowing, since I am no longer involved with Amelia and her family. I think those who can only judge people on the basis of their family situation, finances, and so on deserve to be punished. Oh, they even sold their house? That's interesting. They got what they deserved, don't you think so? Jack grinned as soon as he heard my story. No matter how far I go, I'm no match for my elder brother. He has many friends, so Jack has received all kinds of information, and I'm sure he knows something about Amelia's current situation. I heard your ex-girlfriend is working at a family restaurant now. You want to go there sometime? Oh, that sounds great. I'll order a very expensive meal then. We both smiled wickedly at the thought of harassing my ex-girlfriend. My brother has been helping me since I was a little boy, and now he's helping me again. I am really indebted to Jack. If he is ever in trouble from now on, I will protect him at all costs. And I promised myself that I would become a man who can help Jack as much as possible.
We don't need the blood of the loser's family.
The father of my daughter's fiancé looked at us as if we were trash. It was our first meeting with this man, and he had made fun of us for being a poor single mother household. I could have tolerated it if he was just making fun of me, but I couldn't stomach it when it was making fun of my daughter. I stood up and tried to talk back, but my daughter stopped me. If you say something like that, I'm going to withdraw my money from your bank. The man we were talking to was the president of a local bank. But he made fun of the daughter's words, saying,
Sure, go ahead. Do what you want.
He replied with a smirk. However, his family will regret this for the rest of their lives half a month later. My name is Scarlett Jones. When my daughter was in elementary school, my husband passed away due to illness. Since then, I raised my daughter Harper by myself while working for a delivery company. My daughter had launched her own business and appeared to be doing well. Although I live separately from my daughter, we are just around 30 minutes away by car. We often spend time together on our days off. However, I've been seeing my daughter less and less recently. Even when I invited her to hang out, I have to take care of something, and she refused my invitation. Just when I had a hunch. Mom, there is someone I want to marry. My premonition became conviction, and I gave an internal first bump. I was sad to hear that Harper was getting married, but I was happier. That's good news. You should bring him to my house. The young man Harper brought home was a wonderful man.
Nice to meet you. My name is Leo Taylor.
The young man, blushing and nervous, looked me straight in the eye and greeted me. My first glance, I was convinced that this man was the one who would make Harper happy. After that, we continued to have a friendly conversation with Leo, who had relaxed. Oh, by the way, if you two are getting married, I guess we should meet your parents. When are we going to do it? But Leo's expression darkened. About that. When Leo spoke to us, he was hesitant. Leo's father was the president of a local bank, and it appeared like he primarily cared about Leo's old brother, who was gifted, while Leo was disregarded by his father. Leo moved away from home shortly before starting junior high school and grew up at his uncle's house. Since then, he had grown estranged from his family. I think if you two meet them, I'm sure they'll make you feel bad. With a gloomy expression, Leo said so. But we should at least meet each other. From now on, we're going to be relatives, and there will be occasions for us to see each other. In the worst case scenario, we'd have to meet for the first time at someone's funeral. When I was concerned about this, Leo said with a determined look on his face, "Oh, you're absolutely right. I'll coordinate the meeting. I'll try not to make you two feel uncomfortable." "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to impose." "No, it's fine." Leo smiled. But I guess I was naive at that moment. I assumed that because they were his family, they would celebrate Leo and Harper's wedding. I was confident they'd understand if they discussed it. I was too naive to think like that. On the day of the meeting, Harper and I went to the designated place. It was one of the most prestigious restaurants in the area. I'm so nervous because I've never been to a place like this before. Me too. We headed to the room with nervousness. Excuse me. And when I opened the door to the room,
You're late. Can't you poor people even read a clock?
We were greeted with such curses. Hey, Dad.
Shut up, Leo. We came here today because you insisted.
That's correct. And you should be grateful that even John, who is always on the go, came down here. A lavishly dressed couple yelled, insulting Leo. A young man was sitting next to the couple, but he was looking at Harper with a disgusted look. I've come to see a girlfriend. Well, but I guess you two deserve each other. What the hell did he just say? We were too shocked to respond because they had said so many horrible things.
So, you two are a single mother family, correct?
Huh? Yes, that's right, but... Leo's father asked me, and I replied without thinking. Then he snickered at me as if he was mocking me.
Did your husband cheat on you or what? If a woman is dumped by a man, it is her fault.
What?
I'm sure a single mother family is poor. I bet you want to marry Leo because I'm his father, right? I know you're all after money.
Leo's father stared at me and Harper as if he were staring at something filthy.
But that's too bad. I won't give Leo any of my money. All my assets belong to John.
Leo's brother Don nodded with a satisfied smile on his face.
A single mother family is a good match for you, Leo. You're such a loser. If we're talking about John's partner, I'm not interested in a loser. I'd have been the first to say no, but I don't mind with Leo. Get married or do whatever you want.
I was so angry that I felt anger growing inside me. I could put up with it if it was just me, but I couldn't stomach it if Harper and Leo were also mocked. I almost stood up and said something back, but... Are you sure you want to say something like that? Harper's words stopped me. I am using your bank, but if you keep saying such a thing, I'm afraid I have to stop using your bank. I'm going to move my savings to another bank. Is that all right with you? Harper asked Leo's family in a threatening tone. However, they laughed hysterically with a vulgar voice.
Who cares if a little girl like you closes her bank account? Go ahead, do what you want.
She says she's going to withdraw her money. What is the balance? 10 cents?
Hey, Mom, in that case, she'd have to pay more for fees.
I couldn't understand why the three of them were laughing with tears in their eyes. But Harper looked at them coldly. Are you sure? I understand. I don't care if you regret it. Leo, Mom, let's go home. Leaving the three of them still laughing, we left the restaurant. As if we left the restaurant, Leo quickly apologized to us. I am truly sorry. I am so ashamed to have a family like that. Leo's eyes were filled with tears. Even if this means the end of our engagement, I can't complain. What are you talking about, Leo? I will never break off our engagement. Harper yelled and made Leo look up. Even if you say you want to break off the engagement, I won't let you. I'm definitely going to marry you. Harper. They were about to get into a romantic mood when I coughed and interfered. That's right. Harper isn't marrying your family. She's marrying you. Miss Jones, if you want, you can be my son-in-law. If you don't want to see your family for the rest of your life, that's fine by me. I'm sorry I forced you to arrange this meeting to meet your family. I suppose I wasn't thinking clearly. It was not Leo who should apologize. It was my fault. It's not like we can understand each other even though we were family. My shoulders slumped in disappointment at my lack of recognition. It's our family's fault. No, it was my fault. Come on, you two. Forget it. Let's forget about it and go eat something nice. I'm so hungry. Harper interceded, and we looked at each other and laughed. After that, the three of us had a pleasant time over dinner. By the way, Harper, are you really going to transfer your savings? Yes, I intend to. That bank is going to be in a lot of trouble. Then, half a month after the tumultuous meeting, Harper and Lil came to my house looking a little tired. Mom, I'm home. I'm sorry to bother you. What's wrong, you two? You look kind of tired. Actually, we came here today to talk to you about that. And what they told me was a surprise. After that, Harper canceled her bank account with Leo's father's bank, as she had declared. Harper transferred the $70 million in assets in her account to another bank. It was a substantial sum of money, so she went to the bank a few days ago after ringing to inform them that she was closing the account. Because closing the account would cost an absurd amount of money, Leo's father came to the bank to persuade her not to close it. He was surprised to see me. He asked why a young woman like me had so much money, so I carefully explained it to him from the start. I told him that this money is a combination of my earnings and Dad's inheritance. My spouse was a great businessman who built a transportation company from the ground up in his lifetime. It's a secret, but we made a lot of money. The company was in a downturn and business decreased immediately after my husband died, and I became the company's second president. But thanks to the employees who have supported us since my husband's generation, the business is now in good shape. And my daughter Harper seemed to have inherited my husband's talent as a business manager in a very strong way. Harper founded the company as a high school student and launched a very successful student goods brand. When the business took off, she sold the brand to a huge corporation and is now running a general retail brand for adults. Young people who had been lovers of Harper's General products while they were students had grown up and continued to support the brand for adults. The company seemed to be running a stable business, supported by its deep-rooted fans. But didn't Leo's parents have a chance to learn that Harper was a large depositor before the meeting? I was curious about it and asked. That's my fault. I haven't had proper contact with my family for the last few years. When I asked them to come to the meeting, I tried to tell them about Harper. But my father said he wasn't interested and wouldn't listen to me. Besides, my name is rather common, isn't it? That's why he didn't recognize it. I understood the reason. So, did you successfully transfer your savings? Of course. He was crying and begging me, but I ignored him and closed the account. I feel bad for Leo, but it was nice to see his father crying and pleading for help from someone he used to call a little girl. Leo smiled bitterly. It's okay, he replied. Besides, I was originally planning to close the bank account, so the transfer of my savings went smoothly. Oh, really? Actually, there is this rumor among the managers that Leo's father became the president of the bank about 10 years ago. He appeared to have continued his inappropriate approach since then, neglecting the business system. As a result, their finances have been severely strained, and they have been operating at an extremely low level in recent years. There were discussions about merging with another bank, but you know how he was acting as president, right? So the talks didn't go well, and the business was getting worse and worse. I'm sure Harper's decision to close her bank account under these circumstances was a blow to them. My parents were bragging that my brother would be the next chairman, but I'm sure the bank would go under before my brother could take over. Leo's prediction was dead on. 6 months later, the bank collapsed. Even though it was a regional bank, it had a negative impact on quite a few people. In addition, Leo's father was arrested for a serious breach of trust. Leo's mother and brother had lost their means of livelihood. A filthy person showed up to our job interview the other day and turned out to be Leo's brother. When he found out I was the president of this company,
I gave you my brother, so you should hire me.
He said something unbelievable. When their employees heard this, they snapped and kicked Leo's brother out. I guess I'll never see him again because an intimidating driver threatened him not to show up again. Leo's mother had asked Leo for assistance, but if you keep messing with us any longer, I'm going to contact my lawyer. After he threatened her with that, she stopped contacting him. Later, Leo and Harper got married without incident. Leo became my son-in-law, and they are living happily. Seeing them together reminds me of my husband and makes me happy too. I really wish them a good married life, as my husband and I had. I have 2 beloved daughters. My oldest daughter's name is Tiffany. Tiffany's wedding is coming up tomorrow, and it reminds me of the past. I'm Marlene. In my childhood, we were a family of 4, my parents and my brother, who was 3 years older than me. I grew up in an ordinary town, not inconvenient, but not prosperous either. My older brother was very kind, and we always played together when we were small. I was such a my brother's kid that I would follow him everywhere, even when he was playing with his friends. As long as I remember, he never got annoyed to play with me. He always had a smile on his face. But when he was 20 years old, he suddenly left home. After that, I didn't see him for a while. The reason why my brother left home was what is called elopement. He was a college student at the time, was dating a girlfriend who was 5 years older than him. He came to our house to tell our parents that his girlfriend got pregnant, so he was going to marry her. However, my father, who was concerned about public image, was vehemently against it.
I won't allow you to get married until you graduate from college,
he said, and also said,
I'll pay her to break up with you,
or something like that. I was a junior high school student at the time, and while I thought the way my father said it was terrible, it was in the unknown world for me about marriage and pregnancy, so I could not take my beloved brother's side. As a result, my brother packed his bags and left without telling my parents, and I never saw him again. We were family, but we didn't even know his phone number nor address. Suddenly, we became so much apart. I felt so lonely and wondered if I had been there for him at the time, our relationship would have been different. But as time went by, those feelings gradually faded away. Then, when I was in my late 20s, I got married and got pregnant. Who knew I was unexpectedly reunited with my brother? One Sunday afternoon, I was relaxing in the living room with my husband when the intercom rang. My husband took the initiative to answer the intercom, perhaps out of concern that I was pregnant at the time. He turned around in surprising face and said to me, "There's a man at the door saying he's your brother." Huh? There is only one brother in this world, but he would never come here. Not to mention, I have not seen him for 10 years. I don't even know if he is still alive. I wanted him to come to my wedding last year, but I couldn't find him. I couldn't believe immediately what was happening. But when I saw their intercom, my eyes were filled by tears. "It's you? It's really you?" I saw him a little thinner than back then, but he was unmistakably my beloved old brother. I immediately ran to the front door and opened vigorously. There, I saw my beloved brother, now a full-grown man, and he was with a middle school girl. For a moment, I wondered who she was, but then, soon, I realized she must be his daughter. "Ma-Lin, it's been a long time. How have you been?" His smile still the same, but he looked somewhat looked down. "I'm fine. How have you been? I've been looking for you all these years, you know. You seem a bit tired. Are you okay?" He didn't answer my question. "This is Tiffany, my daughter." He pushed her back lightly toward me. Tiffany smiled and greeted me. She was a beautiful girl with big, crisp, impressive eyes. She didn't look much like my brother, who had small and drooping eyes. I thought she may took after her mother. "Nice to meet you, Tiffany. I'm Ma-Lin, your father's younger sister. I'm so glad that we met finally." I tried to urge them to come inside to talk more. "No, I'm fine here." He denied to come in. I couldn't understand that he just got here, but refused to come in and wanted to go home. I didn't understand why he came here in the first place. I have so many things I want to ask and talk about. We need to catch up for all these years apart. When I was about to say that, "Please take good care of Tiffany," he just said that and ran from the house. What? I couldn't think or move fast enough to catch up with this situation. When I snapped out of myself and went out the front door to chase after him, he was already gone. What's going on? I could not understand at all, and Tiffany was standing alone behind me. I turned around to see what I could do. "Thank you for letting me stay," she muttered a few words. After that, I asked her for my brother's phone number and home address. She kept saying that she didn't know. I called my parents' house just to be sure, but only to be told that they had never been able to contact my brother. My father hung up on me. While my husband and I were wondering what to do, the only fact we found out came out from Tiffany's mouth. "My parents abandoned me." Tiffany was indeed carrying a large Boston bag. Inside, there were several clothing, underwear, towels, and toothbrushes in it. Just like she was going to a sleepover. Even so, I thought he would come for her someday. It had been a month since he left Tiffany to my house, but my brother did not come back. My husband and I both love children, so my husband said, "It's like a rehearsal for raising a child." He laughed and accepted it. But I couldn't believe that my brother, tender and caring, is abandoning his own daughter. There must be some good reason for that tired expression on his face. I believe so. But Tiffany didn't seem to be so sure. At first, There was a strange atmosphere because we didn't know each other well yet. But as we lived together, I began to feel that Tiffany was like a little sister to me. Tiffany was not much a talker, so we didn't have many conversations. However, she was polite and concerned about me as a pregnant woman, and I could tell that she was a very kind girl. She spilled her true feelings about her parents to me from time to time. For example, when I told her that I would prepare a lunchbox for her school field trip. "My mother hasn't made lunchboxes for years," she said. Then I was curious about my brother's fatherhood, so I asked Tiffany, "How was your father?" After a little silence, she said, "My father wishes I didn't exist." I was surprised to hear that. Why? Why do you think so? But she won't say any more. I want to believe my brother, but on the other hand, seeing her still so young, talking about her own parents that way, I can't help but think in a bad way. In fact, 6 months have passed, and I haven't heard a peep from my brother. Has my brother turned into a terrible person who treats his children so poorly? I don't want to believe it, but if Tiffany is hurt, all I can do now is to love her as much as I can. My husband and I tried our best to have a good time with Tiffany, even if sometimes it was awkward. I was in the early stages of pregnancy when Tiffany arrived, but my belly was getting bigger and I was expecting a baby next month. When I took the bus on the way home from my regular checkup, the bus was full, so I tried to hold on to the strap. But the person sitting right in front of me offered me his seat, and when I looked up to thank him, "Oh, you!" It was my brother. I wasn't expected to see him at all. My brother was also surprised and smiled apologetically, his eyebrows drawn together. I had to ask him about Tiffany, so I grabbed his arm tightly and we got off at the next stop, heading to the restaurant to talk. "Marlin, I didn't know you were pregnant." He seemed to completely give up on the idea of escaping from me, and he said as soon as we sat down, "Yes, that is 6 weeks. The baby will be born soon." I told him so. "Boy or girl?" he asked. "Probably a girl," I answered. "I'm sorry at this difficult time." I didn't expect my brother to apologize. His negative image had grown in me during the time with Tiffany and not seeing him all this time. I couldn't even imagine it all. "I'm fine, but what about Tiffany? What are you going to do about her?" I asked what I've been wanting to ask for a long time. My brother didn't say anything for a while, as if he was pondering something. "Even if you're going to leave her to me, at least tell me why. I think I have all rights to ask. I'll accept anything." With those words, my brother finally opened his heavy mouth. "You thought we didn't look alike, me and Tiffany." I was startled by the unexpected question. I wanted to deny it, but that was exactly what I thought when I met Tiffany for the first time. As I was having a hard time answering, my brother continued, "We don't look alike. I thought so too. But I kept trying not to think about it, thinking, well, we're different genders, so that's just the way it is." I had a bad feeling what he was about to say. But as she grew up, more and more I got scared that she didn't look like me. So I lied to Tiffany and did a DNA test. It must have been only a second before the next words, but it felt so long. Then the result was Tiffany and I were biologically not related. She is not my child. Just imagine what it would be like to be in his shoes. I know how helplessly painful it would be. That I was not blood related to the child I had always believed to be my daughter. I found that out 2 years ago. I immediately asked my wife. Instead of apologizing, she started to fight back. She got pregnant with her ex, but he didn't want it. She said she took advantage of me being young and ignorant so that she wouldn't have to struggle as a single mother. That's awful! A fierce anger toward his wife welled up in my heart because of the way my brother was at the time. He wanted to marry her because he loves her deeply. I still clearly remember the way he told my parents with a serious look in his eyes. I can't forgive she trampled down my brother's love in that horrible way. Then her attitude changed. She went out and having an affair, gambling, etc. She even told me that she had been doing so since way before we married, but had hidden it from me. She stopped taking care of Tiffany at all, and she hasn't been coming home much since last year. And they recently got divorced. My brother was cheated and betrayed by the person he married and trusted. When I think of my brother's feelings, my heart aches so much that I can't stand still. But it has nothing to do with Tiffany. Just because it's hard for you doesn't mean it's okay to hurt Tiffany. I have never said anything to my brother this strongly before. You are right. My brother seemed crying. I know that Tiffany is not my child, but we have lived together for 12 years. I love Tiffany, and we can be a family even if we are not blood related. That's what I thought and tried to do my best. But at every step of the way, the feeling that I had been betrayed flickered through my mind. I think I was getting awkward, even though I didn't want to show it. Tiffany stopped talking to me when she was around the 6th grade, probably because she sensed my change. I could imagine both my brother's feelings and Tiffany's feelings painfully in my heart. I didn't know what the right answer was. But for Tiffany, her mother left home and even her father changed. She must have been very lonely. Just when I didn't know what to do, I happened to see you in town. I felt bad, but I followed you and found out where you lived. But I didn't mean to leave Tiffany with you at that time. The day before I went to your house, I was discussing with my wife about divorce after Tiffany went to bed. She said it would be hard to raise a child, so she'd give me custody. I didn't want to leave Tiffany, but I couldn't forgive my wife for betraying me